A moment of cautious hope flickered across diplomatic circles when Ukraine agreed to a 30-day ceasefire deal with Russia. But just as US officials arrived in Moscow to push the Kremlin to accept the terms, the response from Russian leadership shattered any illusions of a swift truce. Yury Ushakov, foreign policy advisor to Russian President Vladimir Putin, dismissed the proposal outright, calling it nothing more than a temporary respite for Kiev's struggling military. Speaking in a state television interview on March 13th, he reinforced Moscow's stance that any real peace must account for Russia's interests.
Our view is that it's merely a temporary break for the Ukrainian military and nothing else. Our goal is a long-term peaceful settlement, taking into account our country's legitimate interests and well-known concerns. No one needs an imitation of steps toward peace.
The rejection came just hours before a US delegation, led by Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, landed in Moscow. The mission: convince Russia to accept the ceasefire or face sanctions. Trump had made clear that his administration would exert pressure on Moscow. Russia has no way out but ceasefire. If needed, we will sanction it, but I hope we won't need to, Trump warned. Determined to end the war, Trump's administration swiftly deployed top officials to Moscow and Kyiv to lay the groundwork for negotiations. Ukraine, after 9 hours of closed-door talks with US envoys in Saudi Arabia, agreed to the ceasefire. But the White House acknowledged the final decision rested with the Kremlin. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov confirmed that the US team had arrived, with TASS reporting that Witkoff had already begun engagements in Moscow. Yet, any expectation of progress was undercut by Russia's hardline stance. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky took to X, formerly Twitter, to voice frustration over Moscow's silence. Regrettably, for more than a day already, the world has yet to hear a meaningful response from Russia to the proposals made, he wrote. Behind closed doors, however, the Kremlin was not silent. According to Reuters, Russia presented Washington with a list of demands, conditions it claims must be met before peace talks with Kyiv can proceed. The details remain undisclosed, leaving a critical question unanswered. Is Moscow truly open to ending the war, or is it merely buying time for its next move?